Working sucks. So when a Japanese toddler found out that's all adults do, he wanted no part of it. Determined not to work a day in his life, this 4-year-old named Eiichiro Oda hatched a plan to escape from the system, with the master plan coming to him in the form of a career in manga from a book about monsters and a show about pirates. His mind now whirring with ideas and excitement, Oda decided that it was time to begin, and began copying art he saw in his favorite manga Dragon Ball. He was going to learn how to draw, and then string those drawings into a story to make his very own manga. Eventually, Oda wanted to prove that he had what it takes, so he entered his art pieces into a competition where he'd be met with an unwelcoming reality check.
My art was criticized as really weird back then.
With one clear message: work harder. Thus, Oda began gradually abandoning his hobbies he'd gotten into because of manga, all to hole up in his room to practice and chase that dream of becoming a manga artist. As time kept passing, Oda's obsession kept growing, to a point where he started getting restless whenever he couldn't draw, whether he was sitting at school or at his part-time dishwashing job.
I mean, he would eat everything. He even accidentally threw away a soup that had been prepared the day before.
Because now Oda had his eyes locked on just one thing. One of the biggest rookie manga artist competitions held across the entirety of Japan, the 1992 Tezuka Award. Determined that this award was his moment, Oda worked viciously, even through a car accident, to submit his first story, Monsters, to the competition, which to his surprise, he won runner-up, netting the 17-year-old 500,000 yen, and then some unexpected disappointment.
I later found out that the Tezuka Award at the time was awarded to monthly Shonen Jump, not my favorite weekly Shonen Jump, so I had no choice.
Uncontent with the award he just won, Oda entered another competition the next year, and then won the grand prize, getting himself his very own editor. Though being a teenager, he didn't really appreciate his editor's feedback.
At the time, I just thought Kojima was great at complaining about it.
Making Kojima realize that Oda's biggest issue wasn't a lack of skill, but his massively inflated ego that threatened to end the teenager's career before it even began.
Yeah, I was really stubborn back then. Our meetings were events.
To people around us, it probably looked like we were actually having a fight.
And it turns out that Oda's ego was almost uncontrollable, getting the teenager into some pretty awkward situations with the higher-ups in the company. This back and forth continued as Oda went into college, where he had to hide his dreams of mangaka stardom out of fear of being bullied, feeling more alienated and isolated than ever before. Seeing professional work as the only escape, Oda worked like mad, drawing any chance he could to get out of college as fast as he could, eventually having his prayers answered by the person he was always bickering with, because after 3 years of training him, Kojima decided that Oda was ready for the real world, getting him his first official job as a manga assistant to Shinobu Kaitani, hoping to God that the manga artist would be able to handle Oda's ego. Oda, on the other hand, leapt for joy, casting aside anything that would get in his way from getting to Tokyo, not knowing that he was about to fall straight into an abyss. While Oda's on the train, we gotta talk about something. Money. Specifically saving money with our first ever sponsor, Atlas VPN. With Japan opening back up, me and my friends wanted to visit, but we're college students, so we're broke, and we'll take any saving we can get. Luckily, Atlas VPN reached out and told me that I could save money on airlines, hotels, and more west. Let's just see here. Huh. That's like a boba. And a free boba isn't enough for you, there's actually even more. It protects you from the bad guys that are trying to steal your personal information and tells you who the bad guys are who have stolen it in the past. It lets you stream shows wherever you want, which means I can call us all. And it's also super fast and protects all your devices from tracking and censorship. For just $170 a month for a 3-year subscription and 6 months for free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's a nearly 90% discount. And 6 months of the house and a 30-day money-back guarantee where if you don't like it, you can just return it and get all of your money back, making this the literal best deal on the entire internet. But not all good things last forever, and this deal only lasts until Black Friday before it's gone forever. So go get the best deal on the internet and click the link in the description, and thank you for supporting the channel. Stepping into Tokyo, Oda entered a war zone. The top running manga and weekly Shonen Jump had just ended, meaning every manga artist in Japan was eyeing that top spot Dragon Ball had just left behind, including, of course, Oda.
I thought, oh, well, I've already gotten an award, so I'll be at the top in no time.
Now with a new goal to obsess over, Oda's life was reduced down even further, sleeping hours neglected as he raced towards his final goal, serializing a manga, which first meant he had to almost drown Kojima with his first draft stories, amounting to a 19-page name submitted every single week, and the same response given every single
on your characters.
Not even when Oda succeeded could he escape.
Congratulations on your one-shot serialization.
Thank you, sir.
I do have some criticisms though, and I'm not sure if Kojima has told you this. You should really work on your characters.
And he only succeeded once. As Oda moved assistants from manga artist to manga artist, the reality began to dawn on him that he might not be as good as he thought he was. Each manga artist he worked for exposing more of his shortcomings, the fellow assistants he worked alongside being no joke either. Slowly, Oda's life melted into a blur. Week after week, month after month, the same things happening over and over again. And while Oda would keep pushing through for his childhood dream, as the failures built up and the years passed by, he finally decided that he could push no further.
Oda, I haven't seen you in a week, dude. What's up?
Oh, nothing much, just some personal issues. I brought you a name.
Well, good to know you're better. Let me take a look.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a lot of issues with this.
I see.
So let's get into what you need to work on. The characters are too bland, there's not enough detail, the story isn't interesting, and the frame...
Kujima, that's enough.
Pardon?
I'm done being a manga artist.
I'm sorry,
I don't want to do this anymore, dude. I'm tired of this shit. Every week, I bring in a story, and every week, it's fucking garbage.
Oda, listen.
Every fucking week for fucking months. It's been a fucking year and a half. If I quit now, maybe I'll still be able to get a real job.
Oda, listen to me. I've never seen a guy like you work so hard despite having nothing to show.
Convinced by Kojima to try just one more time, Oda thought back to his 15-year-old self, how happy-go-lucky those old times were, just reading good manga and playing soccer with friends. So Oda decided, as he pulled out that story about pirates and adventures he'd worked on since he was a kid, that this story would be for his younger self, an epic story that was his do or die. Unluckily for Oda, he didn't actually have to choose. After multiple rounds of revision, his little one-shot was published, and after his new editor fought thrice with the head of the editing department, Oda finally got what he wanted. One Piece, his very own manga, would release in 1997, and exploded into a national phenomenon, which unfortunately revealed to Oda that there's more to life than just manga, and that his habits were seriously going to kill him. It all started with the One Piece anime. For Oda's initial anxiety, there weren't actually any issues when it began, but as the years passed by and people began to leave for their jobs, a hidden crisis began to emerge as the studio's morale began to collapse. Understandably concerned with the entire situation, the anime director contacted Oda, who was actually already aware of the entire thing but preoccupied with the manga, which itself was in a turbulent situation coming down to the wire. In a period of uncertainty where his series would go, Oda and Uda had a brief conversation, which somehow ended with Oda negotiating that in exchange for his favorite musician playing the theme, that he would commit to writing an entire movie. With the time he definitely had and his judgment that definitely agreed, Oda's schedule completely collapsed. All the free time in his life and the free space in his head now taken over by this quote-unquote side project that had his name and reputation plastered on it front and center. With promises to the movie staff guaranteeing the project's success, Oda realized a damning fact. Artistic integrity comes second to money, because at the end of the day, he had promised a movie success. So Oda began his research to see what the audience would want, and after looking at the trends and reaching a conclusion, he began writing the movie's plot. But something felt off. Every sentence he wrote, he hated it more. Everything felt wrong and the characters felt fake, flattened under a plot that was completely contrived. But that's what the audience wanted, right? And with tight deadlines approaching, Oda had no choice nor more time. This movie had to succeed. It had to make money, even if it meant working completely against his will and his vision. And as the final deadline approached and he walked into that review meeting, Oda comforted himself with the thought that this was what the audience wanted, right?
So I heard you sent Sakurai a letter.
Yeah, my entire mindset about the film changed midway through.
Yeah.
The first draft I wrote, The Crystal Ship's Log, was this ultra-emotional story. But it was emotional just to be emotional. There wasn't anything behind it. It was all just a big lie. So at the end of one of the late-stage review meetings, I just told everyone straight up I wanted to drop the plot.
After Oda made his decision, he became much more enthused, rewriting the entire plot and then designing all the characters too. The renamed film Strong World, released in 2009, became a massive success, digging Oda into a bit of a hole.
Because now I have to be involved with the movies, right? I can't disappoint people who expected my name.
Yeah, there's no escape.
There really isn't.
But hey, it isn't that big of a deal, because that's probably what 15-year-old Oda would have wanted anyways.